Very good afternoon, everyone. Well, on the onset, congratulations to World Bfsi Congress on organizing this multi-dimensional event on that note. I think since the time I've been here, there have been variations of discussions which have happened. We started with startups being advised and how to engage on more depth of understanding on raising funds, then to a very noble and social cause which we just heard about. Well, I just want to take your attention off, and I think we all live in the world of opportunities, but yes, they do come at a cost. So, how do we arrange money for that? Is what we've been working on. Although I'm talking about paperless finance, but I wanted to just summarize the topic in a very small 8-letter concept, which we believe, which is end to end. So, just a brief about ScoreMe. So we work with more than 200 institutions in the country today to help them on risk automation, and we build algorithms for them to do underwriting on different portfolios internally which they have. So we work with banks, Bfsis, rating agencies, a lot of them. Being parented by Research in India, which is again one of the leading iBanking firms and a financial advisory firm across the country. So our journey has since day one been, more focused on how do we automate things. When we looked upon and we incorporated 5 years back, we had this very simple question that what is the loan life cycle today, and how do we change that? And thinking about that very incident and very elongated process which we were at, we came to a conclusion that yes, the time is right where we think of automating, and I would say it was a time where everybody was thinking to move on to digitization, thinking to move on to how to use technology in a better way when it comes to finance. But so that is the other side of the table. Let's talk about how things are changing for the end users. You and me sitting in this room, we're thinking about different opportunities, different startups or different ideas which we keep planning across. But a very crucial element of funds is being changed, and that industry is also going for a change a lot. So just wanted to start with what has been the evolution on this. So it's very important to understand from where we are coming from. I think everybody in this room, we must have come across one interaction with a banker or a NBFC, for any kind of a dealing, be it for a account opening to a credit card to maybe a loan which we have taken. But that interaction and the touch points have reduced phenomenally. If you talk about, if I go 10 years back, we were at a stage where the starting point was an in-person meeting. Till the time you don't go and meet the bank or, the specific person, you were not through in that, and the communication never started. Then came a stage, where digitization slightly entered into this framework, and we were at this point that now we can at least approach them without having a manual intervention. So that is where the application process, or I would say reaching out to an institution, became paperless. So, they made available mobile apps, they made them accessible on their websites. We started reaching out to banks, and today is at a stage, how many of you remember going to a bank branch in the recent times? We don't do. In fact, I have not done in the last 5 years where I have visited my bank branch for any kind of a service which we take. So all that has taken a very detailed, I would say evolution on that note. And today we are sitting at a stage where right from your mobile phones, we can move into a stage where we can get a credit line to us. We can get funds to run our business. Obviously, we need to be, eligible enough to ensure that, we are at a stage of paperless credit. But yes, that is a stage where we are coming up. So maybe from a period of months of interaction and one deal closure coming up to days, today we are sitting in seconds and minutes also. And, this has evidently changed in the last 5 to 6 years, and that is where we are placed in. Now, this evolution has come, on its own reasons. So, and it has basically eliminated step by step every step which we used to do with any bank or any NBFC anywhere when we wanted to approach a financial institution. The first very important point which has changed is basically the onboarding. So whenever it came to onboarding, it has eliminated the entire process of going in a manual interaction. it has been onboarded where now you can, easily approach, or even the institution on the other side can easily approach you, and you can get onboarded right from the place where you are at. So you don't need a physical communication layer on that note. It is basically being governed by instant KYCs, which we have come up with nowadays. Whenever you are signing up on any of a financial app, it's a very simple process that you can give your consent through a simple OTP based Aadhaar linkaging. It gets linked to your PAN by default on that note, and you are onboarded in any institution. So this was very critical, and when this was solved, the government played a major role in digitizing a lot of what I can say services which they can provide to validate any customer today. So validation was solved in the step 1. Now, after the validation, we moved on to the next layer of, moving towards that paperless finance. So when it comes to finance, there is always an element of documents, data, which is involved. And, that exchange used to take a lot of time. So for that exchange to come into effect, for that data to stand validated and become a part of that ecosystem of underwriting, it used to take a lot of days. Well, that has again come down, because now what everybody is focusing on is automated data fetch. I'm not sure whether account aggregator is a familiar term here, but yes, the recently government have announced a framework which is on the account aggregator side, which allows you to provide your data to any financial institution just with a one-time consent through an OTP. It's a secured transfer of data between two institutions which can happen, and it helps you to eliminate a lot of paperwork. So that is the next step which got digitized. When we talked about automated data fetch, we talked about document parsing algorithms. Even if you give a simple application of a credit card, it's very routine for a banker to ask for a bank statement, that, can I have a look at the bank statement? So what do they do with that bank statement is, nowadays they have systems which can analyze that document and give an pre-generated system calculated input to the banker to take a decision instantly. So, that has changed. So, 1, onboarding. Number 2, our data being exchanged went digital. Next step is basically where we, triangulated the entire data in a single consolidated application. So, imagine earlier days, there was one person who was talking to you, understanding your requirement. There was a second person who came to you to take the documents. Then there was a third person involved in the backend who was analyzing those documents. Now, when we have synchronized the entire framework, it has basically created a middleware hub for that institution. Now, that middleware hub in itself is basically a complete end-to-end system which analyzes, collects, processes information in a customized manner for any institution today. So when you hear this term that, a private bank is offering me a loan in 10 minutes, it is because of this consolidation of the entire backend processes which has happened there. And next up is basically where every institution has now started parameterizing their internal policies. Now, when I say parameterizing, it means that, they have a defined rule engine to every practice which they do. Nowadays, you will not see many institutions taking a subjective call on you when it comes to credit. It is more of an opinion which the system provides to them, and that system has been designed by keeping in a lot of data points in mind. Data points which are respective to different products. If you talk about a retail application versus a business loan application, they have different parameters to assess it. And the point above this, the middleware hub, allows them to look at those parameters and take that call in seconds of time. So that is what, has again helped them to move. Well, one part, till here it is only till sanction. What I have talked about is bank getting automated, NBFCs getting automated in the underwriting which they do. The next step is where we have also started accepting that, we can avail a line of credit from an institution through a paperless mode. And that is where acceptance, on the online applications comes into place. Earlier, there only used to be an in-principle sanction that, okay, fine, on certain terms and conditions, we agree to provide you this line, and you can visit us, we can fulfill the rest of the conditions, and then we can go towards the closure of the deal. Now that is not required. You can do the entire thing right away sitting at your home or your office, wherever you want to do that from. You can accept sanctions online. And that has happened basically with the introduction of e-sign activities, which we have recently getting seats. So now there are close to 23 states in India which provide a facility to e-sign a sanction letter, which is very important. Because earlier signing of the sanction letters used to be a very tedious process, at least to a range of exposures up to 5 CR. We are at a stage where e-signing has been implemented at a lot of places in the country. The next step, which has again helped us, is basically when we integrate our applications with the back-end loan management systems of the bank. So that is where it gets actually, at a stage of end-to-end. And that is where the entire digitization is completed, right from your customer onboarding till the time your loan gets sanctioned, it gets accepted, and it becomes a part of the bank's loan management system. So this entire stretch is what we have automated, and we currently are working with a lot of institutions on automating it to an even further level also, where we are planning to introduce the post-disbursement monitoring also, because once you take an exposure, it's very important to stay monitored. So that is also, which is we are in the process of implementing. Now, I've been talking about paperless credit delivery, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to place ourselves, in the next phase of the time where we are moving ahead, and what is that is lying for us. Now, as a country, we are basically having a huge regulatory push when it comes to digital lending, and in the recent budget also there was specific announcements related to fintechs, and the government is also supporting the cause a lot. I talked about account aggregator. There is an entire ecosystem which is being built. Digital payments are at all-time high. We are one of the I would say in the top 2 in the world when it comes to digital payments. The size and magnitude at which the UPI systems work in India, imagine, even most developed nations across the globe have accepted that it's one of its kind in the world. Next up is the technological innovation, because we all are sitting here, we keep on innovating on technology each and every day of time, and the use of new age systems in the lending has actually made it to a stage where we can go into a paperless credit mode. Third, which is very evident for the country like India, that our internet penetration is increasing and smartphone adoption is also increasing. So when we say that we can stay connected, that is where the entire process of paperless comes into our routine. So today everybody of us prefers to be on a smartphone, I would say, and because of its own pros. So that is very important, because when you stay connected, you can stay in that ecosystem of digitization. That's very, very important. We have a certain demographic advantage also, because as a country we are 60% below 35 years of age. And that's a huge opportunity when we look at digital lending and adoption of technology in our day-to-day routines. Another 140 million middle home income homes are expected to come up, which is again a very big opportunity for any fintech in the country to look at. And we are also at the highest fintech adoption rate globally. At an average of 64%, we are at 87%. So that again substantiates our adoption to fintech applications, and I think that trust factor is going up and up by every day we cross. Product innovations, yes, one of the key reasons of why finance is coming to you in the form of paperless, because the risk on the other side has been leveraged a lot, and the institutions are also working pretty hard on a daily basis to innovate new products for you. You hear about terms. How many of you are already on LazyPay or Simple or other BNPL apps? That's one of its kind, where you didn't even imagine that this will happen, that one day you will have an app in your phone which will give you an instant credit for 15 days, and it's then happening, and it's all happening at your entire tracking of your digital footprints, and that is important. And that is where your smartphone adoptions, internet penetrations, adoption towards fintech is all pushing every institution to create new products. And I think this is in the times to come, in the years to come, whenever we discuss with the regulators, all different stakeholders, believe me, it's a very, what I can say, opportunist time for everybody to accept the fact that, digital lending is about to change in the country in the next financial year, and it will change in a big way. So, basically, this entire digitization has happened because of 3 different phenomena. One is consent-based systems which the government has started. Second is availability of a non-consent based digital data. So just to let everybody know, today you have a possibility of checking the legal background of everybody sitting in this room without even letting that person know. So if you have to go and search for Shashank Sharma, you can search across Supreme Courts, High Courts, E-Courts, tribunals, IBCs, and you can track whether there has been any legal activity against me as an individual, against my company as an entity. It's all possible. And my validations on my driving license or my voter card or my passports, I mean, the element of tampering is just moving out of the system. And that has really helped the banks and institutions to also take a lot of important calls and stay validated at every point in time, because yes, risk is a very important subject to address whenever we talk about paperless finance. And the banks on the other side also have made a lot of data available from their internal systems. Earlier, they never used technology to automate their internal processes. Today, I can tell you, whichever bank you are banking with, your data is being analyzed on a daily basis with these banks. And that is the reason every day when you turn up in your net banking account, you see offers running for you. And what is the reason? I mean, what is the fundamental principle basis which those offers are being created? The fundamental is very simple, that your daily transactional data is being monitored by these institutions at a stage where they understand and they try to analyze these trends, that when will be a time when I will need a home loan in my career? When is the time when I am about to buy a car? So you can notice these and you can relate to this phenomena, that whenever you are close to 4 years of your car loan is where you again start seeing options from all these institutions. Are you interested for another one? Because usually 5 years is where Indian mindset is to change a car. So all these type of thoughts which got aligned with data analysis has really helped us as an ecosystem to evolve in the paperless finance world. So what are the different type of analysis which can happen and which can make you go towards that paperless stage? I'll not go into the depth of this, but yes, overall your documents like your bank statement analysis, this is a very common phenomena which every institution has nowadays started using. So they analyze your transactional data in depth, which allows them to take a call instantly. GST is a very new phenomena which got introduced, but yes, the way it has been implemented in the country and the way the data is open on a consent based, it actually allows an institution to filter out your sales and purchase in a very instant go. Financial statement analysis, income tax return analysis, KYCs, legal data, your CIC data, which is your bureau data, and the triangulation of all this into a single consolidated CAM is what algorithms of ScoreMe is doing for these institutions. So if you look at the screen, there is no other document which you talk about is not a part of your onboarding process or underwriting process for any kind of an exposure. And this amounts to close to 80 to 85% of their business rule engine which they currently work upon. Rest 10 to 15% is your qualitative information, rest all has been quantified there. And that's the core reason they have been able to move ahead. And these solutions we are now opening up to entire industry. So there are even insurance companies, there are background verification agencies, there are HR firms who have started using these solutions to stay more validated, stay more informed on whom they are working with or whom they are working for. And when we say end to end, I just wanted to throw some use cases. So one is that a recent use case which we are doing is for auto renewals. So everybody may not understand, but there's a CC, a cash credit limit which you need to run a business, and usually everybody tries to avail that. It's you can say it's a credit card for your entity to run business. So there is a renewal every year which is involved. So we eliminated close to 90% of the cost for that renewal because we made it quite system driven. And even, it was 1 month before the date of your renewal that whether you will be renewed for the next year or not. And then there are other schemes of the government, like Mudra is one of the schemes which is basically unsecured and has been secured by CGT MSE by the government. So it's an exposure up to 10 lakhs which you can get in your business at an early stage. It is a very, I would say, opportunist scheme for everybody who is looking for an initial raise of funds. It helps you to substantiate your project, to prove your use case for the market, and then is where you can, reach towards the next stage. So that is again one of the key schemes which nowadays has become completely end-to-end. So anybody who is a MSME registered company can avail the benefit of a Mudra loan. It's quite seamless with all the banks which are there. Next is, when you get regular in your GST compliance filing and, you are able to generate a cycle of funds getting routed through your GST and the bank statement data, is the time where you can look at a GST-based working capital, which is the easiest product nowadays for any business. If you are keeping it very open on the GST environment, you can easily get a 30 to 40% of your GST turnover as a limit instantly sanctioned by any of these institutions. So that is again, one way of moving one step closer to that instant arrangement of funds whenever you need in your business. Even for agri loans, I think so. The KCC, which is a Kisan Credit Card, a scheme which has been announced by the government, it is basically now being digitized, and it's a very system-driven process of giving an instant limit to a farmer who is not having any, what I can say, historical background of finance. Yes, these are backed by government securities, but again, it's completely end-to-end. So, anybody if in your circle happen to be in the agri space, you can definitely offer them the KCC products, which are very instantly going live. So, you talk about retail, you talk about MSME, you talk about agri, any department of the majority of the customers of the bank. I'll skip the large corporates because they form a very small percentage in terms of count of customers. So, entire effort has been on moving towards a digital space of lending, and these are the solutions which you will experience in the times in the coming financial years, getting more evolved, getting more specific for you as an end user also. So next up, I've already explained this in the previous slides that yes, you keep on getting good offers from these banks, and that is where they keep on analyzing your internal data which is there with them. And they do it in a pretty secured manner. It's entirely on-premise. They don't make it public. They analyze this internally and come up with new schemes for you. So, you will see this also evolving in a big way. And another advent which has come for these institutions is, the government's push on co-lending. So, co-lending is a new phenomena where private NBFC lenders are given an opportunity to go and collaborate with a large sector bank in the country. And NBFCs are having the foot on the ground, banks are having the capital with them. That is where they both are aligning themselves and making market more easily accessible in terms of credit. So this is again one of the key phenomena. If any of you happens to be into that area, you can definitely approach a bank. Every bank has published their co-lending policies, and you can easily take advantage of the co-lending environment as well. Well, that's what I wanted to share with all of you. Just wanted to keep you updated on, how we are moving towards a paperless finance ecosystem. If you have any questions, I'll be very open to address. Otherwise, I can sum it up.
You are thinking that you can help to the other organizations?
So, the entire stretch which I explained, the manual process which happened, that's the loan origination system, which is the standard LOS which every bank has today.
Yeah.
They are now integrating with companies like ScoreMe and making it more automated. And the banks who are a little more advanced in adopting technology are going for an end-to-end digital lending platform.
Correct.
So the digital lending platform in itself is a wholesome solution. You don't need an LOS after that. It gets integrated with the loan management system. That is what we are already working with multiple banks upon.
Okay. Thank you.